Hi, Shannon Waller here, and welcome to the Team Success Podcast. I'm excited because today we are continuing with our series on our extraordinary coach culture, which are really our kind of operating principles for how we want people to know how we behave as strategic coach and how we do things and how we think about things. I want to share this because I just really love what Dan Sullivan has put together, and it's just so fun to share it because this is how I've been practicing living since 1991. I had some great training from my parents before that, but I think there's just some neat messages that we can all take from what has been sort of captured by Dan and see whether or not it's a fit for you or a fit for your own organization. So today what we're going to talk about is being a class act. This is number 11 in our extraordinary coach culture. And we know how important culture is. It's the environment. It's the way we operate together. So we have number 11 as being a class act. That really speaks to a high standard. So as you think of the word classy or being a class act, I'm sure an image comes to mind for you of certain people that really represent that. And a class act to me and to us is someone who acts with incredible graciousness. They really make other people feel special, and they're really good at making them feel at ease. And if you think about your clientele coming into your company, that's how they want to feel. They want to feel as though you're very gracious, that they're going to be taken care of and put at ease, not judged, not belittled in any way. And even if we don't intend to do that, sometimes unconsciously, our systems, our processes, our backstage do actually create that result. So for us at Strategic Coach, no matter how other people act towards us, towards our company or our team, we are always considerate of them and we're always gracious. Now, sometimes we need to graciously say no or let them know that their behavior isn't working for us, but we still do that, and I would consider it to be a kind and thoughtful and respectful way. And Dan had a really great example of this, and his model is really hospitality. I love how when he talks about when he was growing up, and he was a farm boy from Ohio, so it was a struggling farm. It was hard to make a great living there, and they had lots of kids. So what Dan would do, and even when he was working in Washington, beginner salary, and he would save up and scrimp on meals so that on weekends he could go to hotel lobbies and have coffee and have a meal and be served in this first-class environment. And if you ever had a chance to come to the Strategic Coach offices in Toronto and Chicago, I hope you really like them because they're classy. They're fun. We just renovated in both locations. And there's certainly an element of playfulness to how we like to do things. But it's also a very welcoming space. Our workshop rooms have great tables where there's room to spread out, really comfortable chairs. There's enough room for everybody. You're not jammed in. It's not a training facility. Ugh. Even saying those words hurts. That's not at all what we are. Years ago, when I took a training design program, I studied adult learning. One of the courses in the semester was adult learning. And I was kind of astounded because, and I was working at Coach at the time, I was like, oh my gosh, we do every single thing they're talking about for ideal adult learning. All the way down to frequent breaks and short doses of learning in a really hospitable environment. And Dan would add to that great food. So I think all of those things are true. So with his hospitality mindset, I remember not that long ago, he was really clear on how he wanted people treated when they were late coming into our workshops. The Strategic Coach program is a workshop program for very successful entrepreneurs who are growth-minded and love to be in a community of other growth-minded, successful entrepreneurs. So when people are late, they're immediately stressed out. Imagine if you're late for something, especially something you paid for and you're committed to doing, but traffic or who knows what happened in your house in the morning, or maybe your flight was delayed. We have people coming in from all over the world. And you're late and you're feeling badly because you're missing something. We start at 9. So immediately there's a sense of tension. You're stressed. Your mind's all over the place. You're probably physically uncomfortable. You might be hot from running or cold if it's, nasty outside. Whatever. You're just not calm, cool, and collected, put it that way. So Dan was really clear one day with our whole client experience team, because we have one, by the way. That's another aspect of being a class act, is we want to have people to feel welcomed. So we come in, it's like, oh my gosh, you must have had a challenging morning. Let me take your coat. Can I get you a coffee? Or what can I get you to drink? Do you need some breakfast? And we seat people, so we don't let them wander into the room aimlessly going, where's the seat? We take them into their seat. We catch them up on anything that they might have missed. The coach will usually come over if it's appropriate and shake their hand and say, glad you're here. And all we want to do is put whatever happened this morning behind you. You're here now. It's all good. you're fine. And I love that. It feels so caring. It feels so warm. We want people to feel really at home. Intellectually and emotionally, entrepreneurs feel really, really at home at Strategic Coach. In the rest of the world, sometimes with their teams, they're the outliers. Here, entrepreneurs are really normal. Really successful, sometimes quirky, super bright, whatever. It's normal here. So we really want people to feel at home in every single way possible. So if you think about being a class act, think about hospitality. Even though we're not technically in the hospitality business, we want people to feel, again, really well taken care of. Everything from the quality of the environment, from every element of the experience. That's why we actually have a client experience team. So we have an office where you come in. We've just redone the front. There's some really great pictures and some sayings and a great logo. And you come up, so we're in a building with some other offices. And as soon as you come in, we want to create a feeling about that. And we want you to go, oh, okay, I can put the rest of the world behind me now. I can enter into a new thinking space. So every single aspect of that. So when you're greeted at the top of the stairs by somebody and it's like, oh, coat rack is over here and so will go get your name tag and then please help yourself to coffee, make yourself at home. So that's really how we do it. And then when you're leaving, the same thing, reminding people how to exit gracefully. So that's really how we like to take care of people. Instead of so much of the world, we're left to fend for ourselves. You waste time looking around. Where am I supposed to go? Where is stuff again? We just try and really make it really easy for people. So that's part of putting people at ease, is looking through every element of your experience and saying, where is there a point of friction? Where is there some drag? Where is there confusion? Where do people not have clear direction? And then you solve those problems. And what is really good, so just think about the next time you come into your location and you park, and there's a good chance you actually come in the back way. Well, next time tomorrow, if you're on your way there now, park at the front. Actually go through your front of your office, get greeted by the person at reception, however your area is structured, and see what it feels like to you. And imagine if it's a client-facing space, how does it feel to them? We've actually had some plastic surgeons do this, and it was really fun to hear what came out of that. So one of our past clients, incredibly successful plastic surgeon. Well, people having plastic surgery, some of them like a lot of privacy. So they get picked up in a black car. They get driven to an underground garage. There's a private elevator up to the space. So they took care of all those details. And when our client went through that process, because he had him pretend he was a client, and he came up and he said, okay, well, it's all very gracious and very almost business-like. And then when they get into the actual treatment room, it's very medical. How can we make this a little more familiar? How can we make this a little more comfortable for people? So they changed some of the element. They still kept all this, safety and sterile units for the actual surgeries. But a lot of the greeting areas, they transformed to be much warmer, to be much more comfortable for people, more like a really classy business office than a medical facility. I like that awareness of what was going to put people at ease. And oftentimes what you're addressing here is fear. What are people worried about? Are people worried about confidentiality? If you handle people's finances, is this an open area or is it blasted where strangers walking by the office could see it, or is this private? And numbers may be your daily bread and butter, but for a lot of people, it's like, this is private. They chose to share it with you, and to respect that confidence is really, really important. But again, sometimes we're just so much in our own little world, we forget. Talking about body parts, if you're a plastic surgeon, that may be really normal for you, really not normal for your clientele. So just being able to look at things from other people's point of view, from their perspective, and making the shifts and adjustments with your systems, with your front and backstage, so that it's an elegant, seamless interaction between the two. That's part of also what is being a class act. And how you can put this into practice is, again, pretend you're the client, or have one of your team members be a client and see what their feedback is. Because people are likely to treat you really, really well. But putting someone who's less well-known or has less status in the organization, although hopefully you don't operate too much on that basis, is really enlightening. It's like, oh, here's what I really liked, and here's what struck me as being missing or didn't hit me quite right. And being willing to listen to that. In our previous conversation, we talked about all progress starts by telling the truth. This is you soliciting the truth about what could possibly be improved. And you're probably already going to get high marks. So it's nothing you need to be worried about, but just more of an opportunity to, how can you up your game in terms of being a class act? And as we've gotten more successful, and as we've gotten just more capable, little new things. So we've got artwork all over our offices. What I really like in the restroom facilities in Chicago, where I was just there recently, we put flowers in the restrooms. Now, what's interesting about our restrooms is that they are also shared by other people on the floor. And we actually got a little bit of flack from the building management for a while, but we successfully negotiated not to have the flowers removed. In Toronto, you'll see that we've got the hand napkins where you would wipe your hands after washing them in the restroom. They're embossed with the Strategic Coach logo. Well, that's pretty cool. So there's so many opportunities to just be classy. It's branding, yes, but it's more really letting people, let them know that they're part of a unique experience, that they're part of something that you've looked at every single aspect of it to say, okay, how could we take this up a level? How could we make this even classier? We've had people take the napkins home to see how they can get some too. It's really fun. So when you know that people want to know how you're sourcing parts of your unique experience, you'll know you've nailed it, because that's a pretty fun thing. Even the music that you have when people are on hold. Every little part of that experience is an opportunity to make it even classier than it is now. But I would say the most important one is how people treat one another. How does your team treat one another? With respect, with care? Do they put other people at ease? If they do that on what we call your backstage, they will absolutely for sure do this on the front stage as well. And you want to make sure that you've got clients who are also classy. Or if they're not, you let them know what's not working nicely. And if they choose to change, great. And if they choose not to, then perhaps they're no longer a client. So the world, I think, would be a much more easy and happier place if we all chose to operate on those principles. I hope this has been thoughtful and inspiring for you to be even more of a class act than you already are, or that inspires some more of your team to kind of understand this particular mindset and perspective. It's all about hospitality. It's all about graciousness and taking care of one another. All right. So if you have any questions or comments, please let me know at questions@strategiccoach.com. I'm excited to hear any feedback that you have about this particular conversation. Thank you so much for listening. And as always, here's to your team success. Hi, Shannon here, and thank you very much for listening. If you like what you heard today, please take a moment to rate the Team Success podcast on iTunes. And we'd love it if you'd share the podcast with anyone else who could benefit. If you're interested in learning more about the Strategic Coach program for entrepreneurs, visit us at strategiccoach.com or the Strategic Coach channel on YouTube. For free downloads and more team success strategies, visit teamsuccesshandbook.com.